Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Virginia Esports and Scholastic League broadcast. I am Ben STEM broadcast, excuse me. I am Ben Kincaid, joined by Molly Dens today. We have some Rocket League for you today. Yesterday we had some Super Smash Bros. Wednesday we had Valorant, but now it's good old car soccer. Very, very excited to get started.
No, you can't end your week properly if it's not with some high school Rocket League. Let me just tell you that right now. Especially in this specific conference, we had for our last week of Rocket League competition, 2 games that went all the way to 5 through a series. Absolute bangers, and I have high expectations as we head into today to deliver that same level of excitement. We'll go ahead and take a peek at what our matchups are going to be for this evening. We'll have a couple of teams that have already been on broadcast and some new faces. Along with that, first match, Central Cabarrus versus Weddington, 2 brand new teams that have just started fielding their Rocket League rosters, whereas Monroe, we got to take a peek at their game last week against ASEC. That was one of those that went all the way to 5. Yeah. It was really down to the wire, taking on the also undefeated Sun Valley.
Yeah, very excited to see that second matchup, especially because last season, these two were rivals. They were going at each other's throats, if you will, right? Just trying to get these wins, trying to scrape by. And Monroe, we did see them last week, right? Mm-hmm. We saw specifically Cray putting up a huge number for the team of Monroe here. They are sitting at 1-1, trying to advance to that 2-1 record here in week 2 of this season. So very excited to jump into it. Like you said, starting with Central Cabarrus and Weddington, 2 new squads, both undefeated, trying to keep their undefeated streaks alive. So it'll be interesting to see which team comes out on top. So, yeah.
This is our first time kind of getting a glance at what these 2 teams have to offer. On the end of Central Cabarrus, the information that we heard from their coach, they're all kind of at around a gold rank in the game. So that's about average of where most players are just getting started. You have a younger roster, Toy Sonic in particular, is just a freshman coming in for this team at the tail end of their first high school year, which is pretty dang cool. We look over at Weddington, kind of a similar story. They are a newer team. There is a little thing to note today is that they unfortunately didn't have all 3 players available. So they're going to have to play down a whole entire player. That is very difficult to do here. Yeah,
down 1 player is something that you never want to have happen on specifically a Rocket League game. Other games you can kind of get away with it because they're usually like 5v5 formats. So if you lose one, you still have that 5v4 potential. But when it's something like soccer and you're down a player, it is very, very hard to pull up with a win, right? I'm very excited to see what happens here. Both teams still undefeated, so we know that there are some solid talent on both sides of these rosters. So very, very excited to jump into everything.
And as soon as we start our game off here momentarily, again, big things that we look out for is that we're gathering this base level of information, seeing how these teams can continue to evolve. And obviously, it's been good things if you have not lost yet within your entire season. So Weddington, Central Cabarrus will be looking to extend those records heading into today. We're going to go ahead and get kicked off here. Central Cabarrus in blue, Weddington in the orange. Again, only 2 players on their roster, so I want to see what Big Hud and TTT Rogue here can manage to pull off, already taking themselves to the skies.
Yeah, Cyrus now just trying to find this clear on the side of Central Cabarrus. Now we see Rogue just with a slight dribble, passing it over to Big Hud, just trying to get something going in the air, but Central Cabarrus able to find those clears. The demo coming through as well, making this one a 2v2 for the moment. Rogue up in the air, just barely missing that aerial touch. And DeJuan on the respawn, able to find that clear, pushing that out of that corner.
I love how they're running the Merc. There was DeJuan with the good old-fashioned like minivan-looking truck there. It's a tank of a vehicle, which can be great in terms of the Merc. That's what I meant to say. My bad. It looks great. It's awesome, but again, bigger hitbox. It's challenging to control, but especially with how Weddington have been playing at around just 2 players. Get a peek at how this goal was scored. It was actually TTV Rug who put it right over Sonic. Was able to tap it in off of the goalpost. So identifications like this, getting a read on how the ball is going to bounce off and where you can set yourself up to again score goals, like we just saw from Rogue.
Yeah, and a good opening, right, in this 2v3. Being able to have that early goal on the board already a minute into this game 1 of this best of 5 is huge, right? Because now you have that little bit of cushion to play with. Toy Sonic now trying to find the clear, but Weddington is putting on the heat. Rogue now in the air, just barely missing off of that post. Big Hud able to meet it in the middle there, keeping it over in Central Cabarrus' half of the field. Now the clear is coming through. Rogue, great job of getting back, interrupting the pathing coming through from Central Cabarrus. And great defense all around so far from Weddington.
I'm impressed. Like, only having 2 players on your team and making it look like that there's 3. And that does show Weddington have a good understanding of how Team Rocket League can be played. A nice bounce off the post from Rogue, but that's both Toy Sonic and DeJuan in the way to kind of block it off. But they're still managing these rotations with the sense of 2 people. Usually you have, like, all right, you got first man, you got second man, and sometimes a third will come in for support, but you only have options 1 and 2. With Toy Sonic getting stuck up in the corner, another opportunity for Weddington. That one will go to waste. This is where it starts to get scary, though. DeJuan trying to flip it out over the front, but TTT Rogue, once again, is going to dribble it away, nice and controlled down the field.
Yeah, I mean, a good approach. And then in the air, Big Hud able to find that second goal. 2:43 left to go in game 1. And this team of 2 is looking very much so like a team of 3, putting up 2 goals in game number 1. Central Cabarrus just unable to get this offensive power going right now. But Weddington, their defense, their rotations have been looking super, super good, especially Rogue there on that last play to get that clear to find Big Hud on that pass was huge for Weddington.
Again, I'd continue to be impressed with what Weddington can show in terms of their T-play. I mean, Rogue just brought it straight back to Big Hud, hoping for that tap a little bit more centered. But again, you're a little bit limited on the players and kind of the rounds of attack, you can say, that you have at your disposal. So they've been managing with what they have been going with so far. I mean, to be fair, we go into this game, you see, all right, you're down a player. The fact that Weddington are up at 2 points right now is kind of crazy. Like, they're holding themselves off on this defense. Another wonderful demolition that just going to stop a Central Cabarrus push altogether.
Yeah, the demo came in onto Big Hud there. It was a 1v3 for just a moment, but Rogue had that car positioned in the right spot. Big Hud again in the air, just barely hitting that corner of that goal, almost making it a 3-0 scoreline. Now Rogue trying to get the ball up in the air, but just unable to do so, getting interrupted there by Central Cabarrus. Now going to the corner. No boost, however, means that it'll be very hard to follow up on that play that they were trying to develop. Again, Big Hud in the air will be able to make the goal from half field. 3-0 now in game 1 for Weddington.
Weddington's aerial game right now is insane. When we're looking at kind of the touches that they're making and more like the contact points with their specific vehicles, whether it's with more of their front bumper or on the hood. You even had this fancy little footwork, I guess you could say, wheelwork, I don't know, where it was Big Hud, there's suddenly reversing, getting control of the ball that way. It totally read where this exact play was going to go on the side of Central Cabarrus, and they're able to volley it back and forth over the heads of the Vikings right now, progressively making it more challenging. Toy Sonic has done a decent job, especially in terms of this defense, but it's been a struggle contesting these aerial plays which Weddington have been going for.
Yeah, Big Hud now just trying to find these clears. A minute left. 3-goal lead for Weddington right now. Pretty insurmountable on the side of Central Cabarrus. It's going to be hard to get these 3 goals within that minute. But this is Rocket League, so we can see very, very fast goals when it comes to this game. Within seconds even, off of kickoff, we've seen goals happen just that fast. But again, Rogue in position in front of that net. The cross coming through as well from that corner, making it 4-0 now in game number 1.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too, is that while Weddington do have these nice teamworks, it's not like Central Cabarrus, they're getting the reads on it. We got to see, I believe it was DeJuan at the tail end, knew exactly what Rogue was going to go for, but just couldn't get himself in the right position to stop it. A nice goal from Toy Sonic off of this initial kickoff, though, is going to be big for Central Cabarrus moving forwards. Even though it's highly unlikely for them to make a 3-goal comeback in these final 42 seconds, this is just a little bit boost, a push in the right direction as we continue our series.
Yeah, a good kickoff goal there indeed from Central Cabarrus, bringing it back to a 3-score game, but with only 38 seconds left. Going to be a tough one to claw back here in game number 1, especially with the aggression coming through from Weddington. Yet again, Toy Sonic now trying to get this dribble going, trying to find this cross. Big Hud, however, in position to find that clear back over to Central Cabarrus' side. 50 boost to the name, going in the air. Possible double tap, just barely missing. But Rogue in position to try to find that follow-up. Instead, will opt to bring it back and toss it off of their own corner. 10 seconds left, game 1. looking to go in favor of Weddington.
Okay, that's a second on the board for Toy Sonic. Again, Weddington looking clean to clean up this series, but this is that second time that we're seeing more from this specific freshman. He's been looking great on the defense and has now turned that over in some of these nice shots from midfield where Weddington haven't been exactly able to establish this field coverage, allowing Toy Sonic to break through those defenses and make it a much closer game at the end of the day. It will be a Weddington 4-2 to kick off this series.
And props to Weddington's defense, right?
Yeah.
Looking super, super well. I mean, we have 7 shots from Big Hud on the side of Weddington. The saves as well, Toy Sonic with 2.
Yep.
2 goals to Toy Sonic as well on the side of Central Cabarrus. But really, Weddington spreading the wealth, right? Big Hud with 2 and Rogue with 2 goals of their own. The exact same score
That's
as
crazy.
well, 428. That's not something you see every day.
No. This does show, too. I mean, look at the shots. That's 11 between just the 2 of them alone. They were doing their best to kind of just keep this ball corralled in that Central Cabarrus defensive end. And as a result, they didn't really have to worry about those rotations back and forth, which is typically what you would have a third player for. If there's no need for the ball to really move past a midfield, then you don't have to worry about kind of this shot coming in from downfield or this 2-versus-1 breakaway that you might get in some of your other series. So I do want to give some credit to Weddington for the adaptations that they've managed to make despite their current situation.
Yeah, and that just goes to show the clearing power that Big Hud and Rogue have been able to have. They had pretty much full possession of the ball for the majority of that game 1, right? Central Cabarrus not able to get anything going on the offensive side till late, scoring 2 later in that game number 1. As we now kick off for game number 2, Central Cabarrus having a little bit better control here, but again, Rogue already in position, full boost as well, trying to find that flip reset. Possibly the goal, but Big Hud just barely missing on that follow-up. But still, just like we saw in game number 1, huge possession in favor of Weddington.
It's the same thing, right? They know that if it goes past the midfield line, it's going to get sticky. So don't even let your opponents have the ball in the first place. It was a nice little juggle that Rogue had, kind of waiting for Big Hud to build up some of that boost, come in with the perfect angle tap. That's like threading the needle across 3 players. Weddington have a clear understanding of how to play this game despite being a new team themselves.
Yeah, and the kickoff again coming through from Rogue as well. Cyrus now just trying to find this clear in favor of Central Cabarrus, but Big Hud again already in position, able to take that one out of the corner. 2-0 now again within that first minute for Weddington.
Absolutely unprecedented from a new team. And this was the match that we're like, okay, we're going in kind of blind, not really knowing what to expect. You have some newer rosters here that are just looking to get their feet wet within competitive Rocket League. They've played 2 matches off stream, but now as we get that first glance at them, we're seeing a Weddington that can manage to work together despite some unfavorable odds that they've been put against. Central Cabarrus have been rallying behind players such as Toy Sonic and even Cyrus at times, passing them on up to Juan on the defense. It just hasn't been nearly as consistent in these aerial plays that we're seeing from Rogue. Look at that touch just to put the ball up above that initial post.
Yeah, now Hud with the clear as well, waiting for Rogue to get in position. The demo coming through to Juan, however, able to recover, get back in time to find that clear and find that push over to that left corner of Central Cabarrus' goal there. And now Central Cabarrus has an opening, but the shot just barely goes wide. Cyrus unable to get a handle on that pass.
Something interesting, too, that has changed in Rocket League. It's very rare that Rocket League changes the fundamentals of the game, but this is one of them that happened, I believe, on Tuesday of this week. If you look at the player name tags, right, you see these little circles with them, and some of them are full at times. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but Big Hud, too. This guy's got to take a chill pill. His boost always full, and that meter shows you how much boost you and your teammates can have, allowing you to set up these plays, requiring less communication. And in the sense of Weddington, I do wonder how much that's actually been playing into their favor right now, especially with only the 2 of them.
Yeah, and we do have the privilege of having the spectator mode, so we can see everyone's boost in the game. Big Hud again with the follow-up. Central Cabarrus just cannot find these clears right now. Rogue in the air, setting it up off of that post, and that's just prime, perfect communication from Weddington, knowing exactly where that ball is going to go and ready for that play to develop 4-0 now in favor of Weddington.
Wow. And this is tough. This is really tough. Central Cabarrus, and they're doing their best. Dewan is always in position on kind of this goal line, but getting yourself off of the ground into the air to block these higher shots that Big Hud has been going for specifically, it's not easy. It takes so much time and practice within the game to actually maneuver your car through the skies. They look at Rookies. Like, look at Rogue right now. It's like, oh, this is just another day on the pitch. No big deal whatsoever. But actually reaching that point, it takes so much practice, so much time pumped into this game to reach that. Toy Sonic has shown us some of great control on Central Cabarrus' end, but it hasn't quite been up to the same rates that we've seen Big Hud, especially now scoring his 5th.
Yeah, that's 5-0 now in game number 2. Big Hud in the air, just barely able to punch that right over to Juan. Toy Sonic just barely unable to get there in the air as well. 2:25 to go. Still a lot of time to try to even this one up, but right now, Weddington, they look like they can't be stopped.
Weddington, is there anything that Central Cabarrus can manage to do here? I want to see a little bit more of this team play. Once Central Cabarrus can manage to get a handle on this ball, instead of just kind of hitting it, can they start to direct that ball into a direction of either a teammate, into a wall where that specific person can regain control? Like this right here from Toy Sonic, taking that 50 in the air, that is wonderful. I want to see more of that, but it's difficult for some other teammates and to kind of find that passing rhythm, right? That's one of the hardest parts about Rocket League, especially working with other players. Everything just goes so quickly. Your environment is constantly changing around you, and establishing where those adjustments are going to take place, it's just practice and playing in these different games. Like, we'll see more of it as the season continues to progress.
Yeah, Toy Sonic with a good clear there, but unfortunately does get demoed towards the end of that play, meaning that nothing can develop on the side of Central Cabarrus off of that clear. Now DeJuan in position. Toy Sonic, however, were able to push that over to that corner. Now with some boost to their name, trying to get the ball rolling, but not quite just yet, as Big Hud is now able to get in position to find this clear. Boost to their name. Toy Sonic does get demoed, but again, Cyrus able to disrupt the pathing from Weddington, able to find that clear yet again, keeping this a 5-score game.
Yeah, letting down into the final minute of game number 2. Weddington looking to set themselves up onto a series point. Toy Sonic, though, incredible save, reaching up to the corner, bouncing across the goal line. But the Vikings are clear for now, and DeJuan just a little bit too far forwards for the oncoming siege of this net that has been Rogue. It might only be his first of the game, but Weddington have set themselves up here for success.
Yeah, that's the thing about Rocket League. Your car can go really fast forwards, but when you're trying to go backwards, it is a little bit tougher to find those angles and find that maneuverability, especially when you're in that goal with the ball moving that fast towards you. It's hard to get in those positions, but a great shot again from Rogue, able to find that angle.
Wow.
Cyrus as well in the air, trying to get something on the board for Central Cabarrus, but just barely unable to do so right now. Big Hud trying to find these clears as well. 20 seconds remain. 6-0 the scoreline. Toy Sonic trying to get some momentum back in Cabarrus' favor, but right now Weddington's defense is looking super strong.
We've talked so much about their offense, but in things like this, their defense allows them for quick turnarounds. It was Rogue with a dribble pretty much all the way downfield. It's like, hey, Big Hud, look over here, watch the center, broke a couple of ankles, and just nailed it right into the back of the net. And you can really tell that these guys are communicating with each other. The sudden turns that they're taking, they're setting themselves up and like, hey, I'm open. Those are the kind of things that we want to see from high school teams that are learning how to work together. And this exact situation, Weddington have been a prime example of what we want to look at. Taking away game number 2 and are now up on match point.
Yeah, Weddington in the 2v3 looking super strong. 6 goals on the side of Big Hud, 1 for Rogue as well. And then again, these shots, 11 combined between Weddington. And on the side of Central Cabarrus, only 2 shots on Toy Sonic. Cyrus able to find 1 as well, but just unable to get that ball rolling quite yet. It's going to have to be a reverse sweep if they are looking to stay undefeated here in week 2 of this Rocket League season. But so far, not looking bad from either side. But Weddington right now, the defense, they just need to find an area to crack through these two players because they've been playing very, very well.
Yeah, and I do wonder if we saw one of the stats on there at the very bottom. It was demos, those demolitions, right? There was, I think, 4 on the side of Weddington. We didn't really get to see much of that on Cabarrus. So one of the big things about demolitions, or why we often recommend them to teams who are struggling to break through an opponent's teamwork, is it physically removes a player from the game for like 2 seconds, right? They have to completely reset on the other side of the field, and you're great, right? So you have this extra time window to work with, and it taking either Big Hud or Rogue out of the equation for just that amount of time, allowing Central Cabarrus to take control or just strip it straight away from Rogue is things like this that are going to give Central Cabarrus a fighting chance in this reverse sweep that they have to amount to.
The Big Hud now trying to find that clear. Rogue just barely unable to find that one. And if they are able to find the demos on the side of Central Cabarrus, that'll be a 3v1 situation.
Yeah.
That'll look so much better for you if you are able to find those demos. But you need to be able to find these clears. Stay in possession of this ball, getting it out of this corner. Rogue with a little bit of boost there. Big Hud does go down. That is the demo. It's a 3v1 momentarily, but Rogue just able to outplay, outmaneuver with the ball, finding that clear, waiting for their teammate to respawn. A great play coming through from Rogue.
I do like the idea, though, that Central Cabarrus are going for. Even just getting Big Hud down there, Rogue had to work overtime to ensure that Central Cabarrus weren't making anything of the short duration that their teammate wasn't available. And that actually just shows that, okay, Central Cabarrus have identified one of the ways that they can start to improve. I do want you have to get away from Rogue. If Rogue just kind of continues to just juggle and dribble it over your heads, it starts to get scary. That one will go a bit over the crossbar, and now him being out of the boost. Cyrus grabbing that second pad, though. He's not going to have much time to regroup. Potential shot set up, but Cyrus didn't exactly have a teammate in front of the net quite yet. Toy Sonic doing his best to kind of keep it in the orange defenses, and eventually that control slips away. And now it's the big man himself, Big Hud, now straight down out of position, leaving it up to Rogue. Pass up to his teammate. Yeah, Weddington can't make the connection.
Yeah, and the boost right now looking heavily in favor of Weddington as well. They're in position.
Nice.
Cyrus just barely able to get that one through the defense. A great look coming through from Cabarrus. They were able to find that 3v2. Toy Sonic just barely missing.
Yeah.
But after that clear comes through from Weddington and they're unable to find that cross hit, that means the goal is wide open, and Cabarrus is able to capitalize on that one. 1-0, their first lead of the series for Central Cabarrus.
So much better right now. I mean, the Vikings right there. You literally heard us stop talking. Like, we were holding our breath with how that ball was just dancing in front of the net, begging somebody to tap it in. And that's where Cyrus has showed up for Central Cabarrus, being that opportunist. That's what we need to see from a team that if you can manage to get Weddington out of position, if they miss their first rotation, they don't have the boost to necessarily follow on through. It's in moments like that where Weddington just have to be ready for anything that comes up. It's Cyrus, another play off at the corner to Juan. Can't quite get there, just a few decimals short of the boost required for a second point. But Central Cabarrus having their first lead of the day. It's got to be a feel-good and is leading them towards a much better start to this potential reverse sweep.
But also the defense with Cabarrus is looking so much better as well.
Big
Able
Hud.
to find these clears. It almost went sideways there for just a moment, but off of that post. Now the clear coming through here. Hopefully from DeJuan, hopefully from Toy Sonic. Big Hud will do it for you. Able to find that clear back over into Weddington's side. Now Big Hud trying to find that pass, but it's an own goal instead. 2-0 now for Cabarrus.
I see the dream. I see what he was going for. Okay, Big Hud, he grabs it off the wall. You have Rogue in front of the net. There's only so many options when you don't have boost, knowing that the players are right there. It's like, okay, I'm just going to bounce it straight off of Rogue. Unfortunately, I believe there's a little love tap in the rear right there that just sent him forward with too much momentum, and the ball went over their heads. I mean, Central Cabarrus still were the major reason that point ended up going in. And with this extra insurance goal, Weddington now are really going to have to step it up if they want to overtake the Vikings in Game 3.
Yeah, 2-0 now, a minute 45 to go in this game. Number 3, Toy Sonic trying to get airborne, but no boost to their name means no follow-up can happen in that aerial attack that they were looking for. Big Hud trying to get these crosses in position, but just barely off of that post. Cyrus now coming alive a little bit in this game, getting aggressive, able to find these angles for Central Cabarrus. finding these clears as well to Juan, looking to be in position if this cross comes through. This could be their time to shine, but no, Cyrus trying to find that cross, but Weddington in position to find that second tap as well to send that over to Cabarrus' side of the pitch.
Oh, big HUD though, another shot. Cyrus is in the way as a second save coming in. Not only is Central Cabarrus' offense stepped up, but specifically we've seen a lot more of Cyrus and Dewan here in Game 3. The support that it's providing for players such as Toy Sonic, who has shown excellence in comparison, especially when it comes to these more aerial plays. But again, these demolitions are key. That's Big HUD down and Rogue. Both of them had a full reset. Look where this ball is dancing. Toy Sonic's the opportunity to nail it into the back of the net, and he's going to capitalize on it. Incredible play from Central Cabarrus.
Yeah, both demos coming through means this is a 3v0 for a short time. Rogue trying to get in position, does get a touch onto that ball, but just unable, doesn't have the momentum with the car to really send that up above that goal off of that crossbar, excuse me. Able to capitalize is Central Cabarrus. Toy Sonic as well, 3-0 now. Looking to force a Game 4, staying alive for the reverse sweep opportunity for Central Cabarrus.
And it's not even necessarily that Weddington have looked worse than they have in other games. Like, they've been playing incredible nonetheless, and they're still going to manage to get a point here within these final 18 seconds. It's just that Central Cabarrus has stepped it up. I mean, even in moments like this, you had players on the defense at the ready, but Big HUD anticipated it, following up on what Rogue had just laid out in front of him, essentially on a red carpet. So Weddington, they're going to grab the 1 point. It ain't over till it's over, but with how solid Central Cabarrus are, getting 2 goals in these next couple of seconds are feeling quite unlikely. This series looking to continue even further. Big HUD, if he wants to push it, it could end here. This point has to go in. A little bit of assist from Rogue. It's going to roll straight over the goal line. It's going to make it with a single second on the clock. I've only seen this happen once. It's going to have to be a kickoff goal then in order for this to continue.
And we've seen it on the side of Toy Sonic as well, off of that kickoff, able to find that early goal. 1 second remaining. This ball cannot touch the ground. It has to go air to goal. Looking like it could if Rogue is able to get in position. Not barely unable to get there to force the overtime. Central Cabarrus will be able to force a Game 4 here, winning 3-2 in game number 3.
That scared me. That scared me for a minute. That was super close. Weddington, they came back there within the final minute, yet this was Central Cabarrus' 5 minutes absolutely all the way through. And again, Cyrus stepped it on up. Look at Juan. The demo's on the mark. You're a big tanky car. Why not take some people out with it? Yeah. Weddington, 0 physicality. They couldn't match that whatsoever. And the difference that it made, those demos alone amounted for 2 out of the 3 goals that they managed to get.
Yeah, the demo was coming up huge. I love the gameplay on kind of switching, being a little bit more physical on the side of Central Cabarrus, finding those demos and maintaining possession of that ball. Weddington had some looks, but the defense as well on Central Cabarrus taking a huge step up, able to find those clears. Cyrus specifically able to find a lot of opportunities to find these passing lanes and to find these corners on the side of Weddington, trying to set up their teammates.
And what this really does tell us is that Central Cabarrus have identified what some of those issues that they've been facing with Weddington are, and have been communicating with each other. They've been talking about those adjustments with their coaches, with themselves, and have actually put them into place. One of the biggest things in competitive play that separates teams is their ability to make changes mid-game. You're 1 step of the way there, yet Weddington are still going to sit on match point. Central Cabarrus have to come away with this next 5 minutes here in order to push us to a Game 5.
Yeah, Game 5 on the line for Central Cabarrus. If they're able to bring this one to a Game 5, that would be stellar for the squad here. Now just trying to find these clears. Toy Sonic just barely able to miss that ball. But Cyrus now able to come back. The demo just barely not in time to find that goal. That's a play that we often see in high-level Rocket League. Get that goal or that ball moving towards that enemy goal, and then just find the demo on that defensive man that's looking for that save. But just barely unable to find it. Toy Sonic now trying to find the clear as well, but just barely missing. Rogue.
Look at that. Great save. Even if it wasn't in front of the net, he deflected it just long enough forcing Central Cabarrus to go on this big old loop around. Let me tell you, these cars do not turn very quickly at all, so you don't really have another choice. You really get one full control in the forwards direction before you have to get more boost and do all of these different things. So that's kind of how Weddington have been surviving, though, is just stopping the ball's momentum entirely, forcing Central Cabarrus to completely reset, making it look like they don't have enough players to continue following up.
Yeah, Rogue in the air, they're just barely missing that goal. In the upper left corner, Toy Sonic trying to push over towards a cross for their teammates, but not able to connect with anyone just yet. The rotations again coming through. We saw Cyrus able to punch that one back over to Weddington's half of the pitch. Rogue now just trying to find these clears, 87 boost, but Daquan as well still in position, able to keep this one over in Weddington's half of the pitch. 0-0, no goals so far in game number 4, unlike game 1, 2, and 3.
I was going to say.
We were playing very aggressive Rocket League, but right now we're about halfway through. The score still sitting at 0 apiece.
Yeah. This is the closest that these two teams have been all game, as well as the longest we've been without a point being scored within the first half of game number 4. Dancing close to the net, though, off the post. Is Big Hud going to commit? Not quite. But it's not like doesn't have a ton of boost. Big Hud can start to identify that. It's a bounce. TTV Rug playing quite closely on this midfield angle. Now it's up in the air. Big Hud knows that they can't reach him. There's no utility. And a textbook passing a play raining down from above. It'll be Weddington's first point, setting them up even closer to taking away the series.
Yeah, Rogue able to just push that one up towards the middle of the field, high in the sky, setting up Big Hud for a beautiful aerial shot. And those downward shots are very, very hard to defend.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because you need to get your car in such a really unique position right in front of that net to, one, avoid the ball from accidentally going in off of the hood of your car, but also to try to find those clears out of harm's way. Big Hud able to find that one for Weddington. 1-0 now, 2 to go in game number 4. Cabarrus trying to stay alive. They will have to find one to even it up here, to possibly force an overtime, or possibly 2 to bring us to a game 5.
Toy Sonic does manage to get it centered, but look at that! That was Rogue and all 3 players diving on top of him, but somehow he is the one that gets the touch out of the ball and is going to carry it back down to the other end of the field. What sort of insanity of physics is that? I do not know what I just witnessed. The Weddington are certainly breathing a sigh of relief and almost one of success. Can they manage to push it through? The ball's halfway in, halfway out, and it's a slow roll that is going to put an end to all of this chaos. Big Hud allowing this to roll on in after dancing in front of Central Cabarrus for so long.
Yeah, DeJuan and Toy Sonic just barely unable to make connection. Then Cyrus coming through, hitting DeJuan out of the way, excuse me. And really that goal just rolling in there, just unable to find those clears on the side of Cabarrus. But now an early goal almost in the back of the net. Rogue able to retreat in time off of that kickoff to find that save. 2-0 now, the score in favor of Weddington. Now the double tap as well, just barely missing. Rogue getting aggressive in the air. I love the thought, I love the play. Almost perfectly executed. Cyrus now with the flip up, able to capitalize on that. Not able to rotate back in time is Rogue. No boost left to their name. And now bringing it back in within 1. Weddington leading in game number 4.
We haven't seen Weddington go for a ton of these solo carries and double taps like we just saw from Rogue. The exact reason why is then you're completely down a player for like a solid 5 seconds. And if you don't have somebody on the recovery, that leaves the door wide open for Central Cabarrus and specifically Cyrus to come in, get that point on the board. And now Weddington aren't sitting as pretty and high as they were previously. Central Cabarrus, they want to keep themselves alive in this series after a nice change of pace. From game number 3, that fire slowly started to sputter out. It's final 30 seconds remaining. It's Toy Sonic against Big Hud up into the corner. Neither can have the hit. Cyrus, though, is going to go ahead and body Big Hud out of the way. While it could have bought some room, it was Rogue on the other player for Weddington, keeping their teammates alive, at least for the time being. Toy Sonic centering the ball once again. Can Cyrus nail it to the back? No! It's Rogue to get their first. 7 seconds remaining. Was that perhaps Central Cabarrus' final chance? It's TTV Rogue taking the ball all the way down to the end and finishing it with a double tap and a final second remaining, securing the win for Weddington.
Central Cabarrus so close with finding that goal, but Rogue able to find the save and then taking it all the way to the other end of the pitch. The double tap coming through. 3-1 now, the lead to Weddington. 1 second remaining. This one is all done and dusted. Weddington, the 2v3 in favor of them, right? Able to come up with a win, staying undefeated, advancing to 3-0 on the season.
Yeah. And that was, 9 goals from Rogue, 9 goals from Big Hud and 5 from Rogue. I mean, for just the 2 players that were able to make it today, they made it seem like that there were 3, which is insane to say in a game such as this. If you're a new team coming in, we expect you to like still have some of the training wheels on. That is okay. We're expecting you to learn how to work with each other. Yet Weddington made it look like that they were one of the more experienced rosters that we've seen within the VESL high school league so far. It isn't going to say, though, Cabarrus did make those changes mid-game, those adaptions, and for teams that I'm kind of wanting to make those positive improvements later on in the season, that's the number one thing that I look for. If you're already looking at these things, it tells me right there that you can totally continue making these improvements and have greater showings later on. Yeah,
and props to Weddington. Down a man for that entire series, able to come up with a win.
Crazy.
I am very excited to see this roster with 3 members on the team playing together, because Big Hud and Rogue just able to pull a rabbit out of a hat, right? Cabarrus able to get some stuff going later on in the series, but just barely unable to capitalize on some of the moments that they had. The opportunities were there, but again, Weddington with that defense, with those clears, Big Hud and Rogue playing lights out Rocket League for this series. Very excited to see what happens with these 2 squads. Of course, growth to be had on both sides, but overall, very, very clean Rocket League.
I want to see Weddington play ASCC. I want to see that. They're currently the undefeated team that took down Monroe, which both of those squads were really, really impressive for a high school level. I didn't believe I was watching a high school match at that point. It was literally that good. That's where I want to see Weddington go next, further down on the line, while Central Cabarrus, with the 3 players that they've managed to field this season, they look good. It's a solid roster. It's just going to be challenging at the starting level. Once you're able to have more experience playing the game, reaching these higher points, then they're seriously going to be a team to contest with that I'm going to be watching out for as the season continues to progress and as the night moves on. We're going to bid our farewell to these 2 teams. Thank you so much. Congratulations to Weddington on the win. And we are going to shift gears over to Monroe versus Sun Valley for a second match of the evening. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the short break. 1 game down and 1 to go on our Friday VESL Rocket League matches. We just wrapped up our Weddington versus Central Cabarrus match, with Weddington winning over a 3-1. And now we're going to take a trip from our 2 brand new teams to 2 that have had quite some experience and, in fact, Ben, a history with each other.
Yeah, very excited for Monroe Sun Valley here to cap off this exciting day of Rocket League. Rivals last season, potential rivals this season. Monroe sitting 1-1, Sun Valley 2-0 so far, undefeated, looking good moving into week number 2 here. Very excited to see kind of what goes down. Yeah. Monroe, we looked at last week. We saw Cray have one heck of an outing, right, with I believe 8 goals.
7, yeah.
7 goals in their series here, but we also saw them on Wednesday playing some good old Valorant for Monroe as well. Very, very exciting to see multi-talent players here come through. But, yeah, very excited to hop into this Rocket League game and see what's up.
Hey, you can say that the Monroe guys are just gamers. They are. They're good at everything. And the interesting thing is that we were all incredibly solid when it came to the Rocket League match. And then you looked at the Valorant, and I believe that they were the 3 top fraggers. Like, they had the best KD ratios on the team. Like, hey, multi-talented gamers. I'm here for it. Keep it up, guys. They also, though, this isn't their first match. They actually have a loss under their belts because they played ASEC for week 1, which we did get to have on broadcast. And for this game in particular, it went to 5, right? But they couldn't quite close it out. I genuinely think that those are some of the we started with that game.
Yeah.
I think those are some of the 2 best teams that we're going to have in the high school Rocket League. If that bar can be surpassed, I am going to be absolutely blown away. And just another team here. Sun Valley, brand new to us. We get to know them. They are also 2-0, undefeated. They consider Monroe to be their rivals as they come in. So with not too much information about their roster, other than we have 2 full seniors, 2 full senior rosters. So this is like their big last hurrah before they graduate and move on to whatever may be next in life for them. So these types of matches are always so much fun to watch.
Yeah, seniors versus seniors is always a fun thing to watch, especially last season with that rivalry kind of happening. This is like the last shot to be like, oh yeah, we're back. We got your number, right? So very excited to see what goes on through here. And like you said, ASEC as well faced Monroe. That went to 5 games. So if Sun Valley are the rivals of Monroe, I can only expect Sun Valley to have that same kind of energy and skill when going through this series here. I'm very excited to jump into it.
The only thing I have left to say is let's get this rivalry started, people. Kicking it off, Monroe Sun Valley. As we start to get a first look in, we can tell that this ball is moving fast, peoples. And we heard from Sun Valley, Luke Hay is going to be their star player, but it will in fact be Spooks striking first out, matching Sun Valley in terms of pace, winning the race against Luke Hay and fighting them with their guard down.
Yeah, an early goal there for Luke K. Able to find that goal. Monroe up 1-0 here in game number 1. Trying to fight back is Sun Valley. Now just trying to find these clears for the squad, but Cray again able to keep this one over in Sun Valley's half of the pitch.
Sun Valley managed to pull themselves back, look a lot more coordinated here. But that is all 3 players getting rather aggressive. Squeaky Hat, though, managed to get a quick Yui in place, knocking Spooks out of the way, but can't quite stop the center. It will instead be Death Puppy clearing the field and setting once again up to Luke Hay, that star player, kind of similar to how we see a lot of teams, specifically Monroe. Their guy was Cray. It's Kev and Spooks always feeding that ball in his general direction, with Spooks also being one of those highlight players. In this sense, we can only assume that Sun Valley like to do a similar thing with Luke Hay, just judging from how they've been playing so far.
Yeah, and Monroe able to keep possession of this ball so far. Sun Valley unable to find these clears just yet in favor of the squad. Luke able to find that clear on target, but Spooks already there in position, able to find that save, find that push over to that left-hand corner of Monroe's goal here. Squeaky Hat trying to get possession back in favor of Sun Valley. Will be able to do so for the time being. Luke trying to find that cross, but again, no follow-up coming through from the members of Sun Valley to try to punch that goal in the back of the net.
Not quite there, but Sun Valley have showed us too that they very much can keep up with a team like Monroe. And as I said at the start of this, Monroe, I consider them to be one of the best teams that we've seen so far within the VESL circuit. Sun Valley keeping this as close as it has been in terms of possession marking players. This is absolutely great to see from a team that is also rather new themselves. They have a vengeance against Monroe, perhaps, that's powering them on forward. So McCray, contested mid-air, Kev and Spooks both fighting for the same ball, leaving nobody else for final tap in. Luke has all the space in the world to work with. Quick resets, though, from Monroe. Gonna keep the score at 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0 in favor of Monroe here. Luke now trying to bring it to the air, but Spooks already in position to find that save, pushing that ball yet again over to the left-hand corner. It's Kev now finding the clear. No boost, however, to follow up on the own clear, but Luke has to get back. That ball was on target. Almost made that 2-0 in favor of Monroe, but Sun Valley just barely able to get back in time to find these clears. Squeaky Hat as well, trying to make something happen by themselves. Death Puppy now trying to find the clear on target, but Spooks again. Luque trying to make something happen, but Monroe's defense coming up big.
Death Puppy's just such a sad name. Like, I can't say Death Puppy and, like, be happy about it. Like, maybe that's the reasoning behind
living
it. Like,
puppy.
like, living puppy. Give life to the puppy. Oh, man. I wonder if that's part of the strategy, though. It's like, oh, you see Death Puppy on your team? I mean, it almost worked. Look at that. Yeah, it was, I believe it was Cray who just shot in like a bullet out of nowhere, and it's Death Puppy keeping Sun Valley alive. All right, I can see the name now.
Yeah, I mean, lights out so far.
Sheesh.
From Sun Valley defense. Monroe able to squeak in that one goal early on in this matchup. 1:20 left to go in game number 1. Sun Valley trying to get aggressively, have possession of this ball. It's Kev just kind of hovering right next to it for a time there. Just having a little chat with the ball, being, hey, I want you to go to the other side of the pitch for me if you can. And they do just that.
They do. Hey, that's fair. And I don't know what Rocket League installed hover wheels. That's kind of cool. Appreciate that new mechanic being showcased. New minute left, though. Sun Valley, despite as close as they've been with Monroe, that goal that was scored in the first 10 seconds really starting to come back and bite you right about now. Will be Kev getting a nice little flippity flip over. Death Puppy doesn't maintain that possession, though. Squeaky Hat. Yeah, you have to get your own reset in, and that Spooks tap down to the orange side of the pitch. Death Puppy with further coverage in this general region, but that's a rare miss from Cray, and that actually leaves Sun Valley more room here to start to work. And you're going to have to work fast, given the time remaining on the clock here, Ben.
Yeah, 20 seconds left remaining here. Death Puppy has possession, has boost to try to make something happen. Has to be out. It's Kev, but it's Kev is able to win that 50-50. Keeping that in the corner, though, is the rest of Sun Valley. The cross coming through. Luque just barely not in position to clear. Again, it's Kev. That clear is on target. Will roll in. That will mean game 1 is pretty much done and dusted here in favor of Monroe. It's Kev with the clear on target, able to seal the deal in game number 1.
Sun Valley had to go for something, and in this case, it was a triple commit. With how close the series has been, you needed that extra player to play on the offense, but that is the downside, the risk to the high-reward play. It's going to come back to get him here. Monroe closing out game number 1 in a 2-0 fashion, but Ben, let's be honest here. We had a 10-second goal.
Yeah.
And we proceeded to go like literally 4 minutes and 52 seconds, or 48 seconds without another point getting scored.
Yeah.
And it's just Monroe sailing down because Sun Valley had to overcompensate from the small mistake they made at the very beginning as they were still like getting their hands warm, right?
Yep.
This was really close. This should not have been a 2-0 at all.
Yeah, and you can see on the scoreboard here as well, Luque able to find 4 shots, but Death Puppy and Squeaky Hat unable to get anything going on that offensive side. But the demos coming through as well from Death Puppy is huge. Maybe that's what the name means, right? They're just here to get cars and people out of the way to try to open the door for Squeaky Hat and Luque. It is violent, but car soccer can be violent. If you have like demolitions, you know.
They can be. Okay,
yeah. There's explosions in Rocket League. You wouldn't think that, but there are.
There are, yeah. We do get to see them with a big old boom kind of animated on the screen.
A big old boom.
Exactly.
Indeed, Monroe able to take game 1 in that 2-0 fashion there.
Yeah.
Able to, just take that one away from Sun Valley, the rivals of Monroe. Sun Valley had good opportunities and good looks, but they just weren't able to get past that strong defense that Monroe had set up. Specifically, it's Kev was having a day in front of the goal there in game number 1, able to get huge clears from Monroe and keep Sun Valley out of harm's way.
It was the first goal that we've had on stream from It's Kev. He actually didn't have any in the previous 5-game series, and that's not to say he wasn't doing his job. What Kev does is not play all of this crazy offense. That's what you have Cray and Spooks for. He's the guy that you put in front of the net and expect him to be your last line of defense, and he absolutely carried them through on this game here. It was a team effort, but Kev was just shining above some of his teammates there and made them look so good. This is a well-rounded roster that has the potential to take on some of the best teams that you're going to find within the high school circuit. Sun Valley have kept it close, and I want to see what adjustments they're going to make heading into game 2.
Yeah, it was a very, very close game 1, right? Only 2-0. The kickoff now for game 2, heavily in favor of Sun Valley, pushed over towards that left-hand corner of Monroe's goal there. Now just trying to find these clears. It's Kev, very great at doing that, trying to push that one over into Sun Valley's half of the pitch. Now Cray with the shot on goal, but Luque able to get back in time to get that save, keeping this 0-0 within the first 20 seconds. But in the air, Cray just barely able to squeak that one by. Members of Sun Valley, 1-0 again for Monroe.
It's Cray's day once again. Oh, you know it. We've gotten to see this guy absolutely pop off in times past. Maybe a little bit on the silent side in game number 1, but this is what happens if you don't keep this guy in check. He will just absolutely dunk on the net, as we saw right there. Sun Valley, once again, falling in these first couple of seconds. And in our previous game, this is where things just got dead even. It got silent, at least when it came to this scoreboard, because the teams were super close in how they were playing. And I want to see some of this life be pumped back into Sun Valley, break through this defense, because now that Monroe have this first point on the board, you can already see the significant change they've had in offensive possession.
Yeah, we can already see Monroe with these setups. It's Kev trying to get aerial, but not able to find anything just yet. They've been able to keep this ball healthily in the half of Sun Valley here so far. Now Sun Valley with a little bit of energy back into their offensive side of things, but again, Spooks and his Kev making a little bit of a collision there in the air, but still able to find that clear. Luque now just trying to keep possession in favor of Spooks. It's Kev again on the defensive side, able to find that clear, get that ball out of harm's way. Now trying to make it all by themselves, but just barely off that upper left corner. It's Kev is playing out of his mind right now.
If you're in trouble, who do you need to call? I can tell you it's Kev right now. Absolutely. This guy's popping off with whatever you need him to do, specifically on the defense, but also he's had some shots on this game, and they've looked great nonetheless. Sun Valley, though, trying to work their way back through. They've managed to kind of stop this early big burst of energy that Monroe have, but not a firm form of defense. They've been throwing these demolitions back and forth, those big old fiery explosions that we've been talking about. Relatively even. It was Cray that ended up going down, but it doesn't really matter when it's as fast as it is. You're playing in that team's side of the field already, and it doesn't take much for players like Kev to start to regain control. When you don't have boost, though, that's where you start to pull back.
Yeah, it's Kev already recognizing that they might be losing a little bit of momentum on that offensive side of things, opting to play back, go back, get some boost, and then find that aerial clear yet again to try to set up another offensive push coming through from Monroe. 2.5 to go here in game number 2. Monroe up 1. Sun Valley just unable so far to get some really good offensive looks. The demo coming through as well. Death Puppy going down. Luque, however, trying to make something happen by themselves off the corner, off of that wall, but unable to capitalize, unable to catch up with that ball. Cray in the area as well, finding that clear for Monroe.
What we can say about Sun Valley, though, is that they're a very well-rounded team. Maybe like the Sun. We'll have to see. But they do lack this edge over Monroe. And it's kind of that edge that will help you drive that spear into what has been Monroe's rock-solid defense so far. So despite how consistent that they have been, there hasn't been this major star factor that has pushed them through. And Monroe has had that extra edge. Maybe with us a little bit more risk, but their sphere is looking a little bit more pointy when it comes to how they've been playing as a team, catching Sun Valley off guard. Yeah,
Death Puppy getting demoed there as well. Brings a complete halt to that offensive approach that Sun Valley was going for. Luque now trying to find these clears with Cray again, able to win these 50-50s. The demo again, Death Puppy going down. Squeaky Hat trying to find the angles.
Jeez.
Luque getting demoed as well. Death Puppy off of respawn, trying to get this aerial goal. Will be able to do so. It's
Death
Kev
Puppy.
looking not to be in position or just not aware that this ball is traveling right towards them, tying it up at 1.
Death Puppy's like, all right, you want to take me out? That's fine. You set me up perfectly for this. Like, oh, man. That could not have worked out better for Sun Valley right now. First point of the day, and in great timing, 68 seconds left to go, an even scoreboard, and Sun Valley already in on Monroe's defensive end, looking to snowball this into a further lead.
Yeah, tied at 1, a minute to go here. Sun Valley in possession, but now the clear coming through. Cray trying to make something happen. Luque in position to try to find this clear out of this corner. Using all boost but 1 to try to get it out. Will be able to do so, but it's Kev already in position in that half-field area. Spooks again with a shot on goal, but Death Puppy in position. Cray with the follow-up in the air.
Wow.
It's going to have to be Squeaky Hat able to find that clear. Will be able to do so. 30 seconds remain. Spooks, however, will find the touch.
Okay.
Mid-field goal coming through from Spooks, giving Monroe the lead once again, 2-1.
As soon as Sun Valley scored that goal, Monroe like, all right, guys, take a step back here. We need to step it up. We got to step it up. What in the world did I just watch? That was an insane series of events here, all played up in the sky. Sun Valley were just watching the ball just soar over their heads, like nothing that they could do except stand over the net. And I guess that's why Spooks has really been highlighted by the team coach. We got to see so much of Cray last time, but it's been Spooks on this offensive end that has been looking incredible. And Kev holding it down. Last line of defense, and what could have almost been a tied game to take us to overtime. It is Monroe now looking to strike back. 3 seconds remaining. It's got to be Sun Valley keeping it up in the sky, but Spooks trying to get it to drop, and it will do just that. Monroe now up to match point.
Yeah, the ball does reach the ground. Monroe 2-0 now in this series. Towards the end there, Sun Valley had a great look, just barely unable to put that one in the back of the net to force that overtime. But Sun Valley, the offense coming alive a little bit here in this game number 2, able to find these angles. The possession heavily in favor of Sun Valley for a majority of that match, but Monroe were just able to find those moments to shine and find these passing lanes, and they capitalized on the small moments that they had, putting them up to series point.
And again, Sun Valley, very consistent team. Like, they are playing a lot of their rotations well. There's not like these massive gaps in their offense or defense that I'm like, ooh, what's going on here? No, that's not the case at all. It just so happens that Monroe also sees that and just takes the gameplay to an entirely new level that you're just not able to beat out. And Sun Valley, they've shown signs of light. I am not at all, like, this is the closest 2-0 that I've like, probably ever seen in my life. Like, the fact that Monroe are up on match point blows me away with how Sun Valley have been playing.
Yeah, Sun Valley, just on that defensive side, not able to find these clears as effective as it is Kev has been able to do on the side of Monroe. The defensive game is really what's deciding these matchups right now, right? It's Kev being able to find these clears on the side of Monroe, but Death Puppy as well on the side of Sun Valley, able to find these clears, almost find a few goals as well in that game number 2, trying to keep things close, but right now it's a very, very defensive game. Whoever slips up and gives a few inches is going to win the game. It's Kev already getting aggressive on this offensive side. He plays defense, but man, can he play offense too. You see Cray soaring across your screen there, trying to punch that one in the back of the net, just barely unable to do so. And now it's Sun Valley again on the approach, trying to find that pass, but just off of that left post.
Well, this is one way to start game number 3, and I'm 100% here for it. We've had so many, like, oh my goodness, moments at just the very first 30 seconds. And then, again, stories of defense. Squeaky Hat for the side of Sun Valley. Monroe has been relying on its Kev for the vast majority of this game, but Kev is also starting to get a little bit more offensively aggressive, as you've been mentioning, which isn't a bad thing whatsoever. It's a big asset for Monroe to work with, as long as you have another player that's able to retreat and kind of block these last second shots that go through, but Spooks, almost nailing it into the back corner. A desperate push from Luque, costing all of his boost and just handing the ball essentially into Cray. He's kind of sitting around that midfield angle. It'll be Monroe. While they've had the majority of this offensive possession, Spooks putting the ball in dangerous place with the communication leading Cray straight to where that ball was landing.
Yeah, a dangerous play to try to find that clear in that manner, but Cray already there in position. Like you said, the communication coming through to find that one. Spooks now off of the corner, will get demoed. Sun Valley able to stop that approach, stop that push coming through from Monroe with that demo. But now back on the aggressive is Monroe. The respawn coming through. Spooks back at it, trying to get aggressive off of that corner yet again, but Luque able to find the clear up in the air off of this corner, trying to find that touch, that cross, but just barely unable to make contact. Spooks finding the clear. Possibly the clear, but Luque in position already. The first Sun Valley lead we've seen this series, 1-0 now. 3 to go in game 3.
Wow. And Sun Valley, this is what you need. If you are looking down the barrel of a reverse sweep, starting your game with the lead, and it's your guy, Luque, the one you're feeding this ball to get that point, awesome. Carry that forwards. Continue to break through Monroe. You've already sent them a step back. But as we know, as soon as they go down, oh, Ben, they come back roaring, especially in this next couple of seconds that we're going to see start to play out. Death Puppy has to go for contests in these super high portions of the map, just hoping that nobody from Monroe will take the risk and meet him there. But that's where it kind of gets sketchy. It's going to be Death Puppy from downtown. That's going to be denied from Spooks, but it's enough for Sun Valley to start playing the game that they've wanted to.
Yeah, Death Puppy now 100 boosts to their name, 100 on the side of Squeaky Hat as well. This could be the angle they were looking for, but no, the clears coming through, the defense coming through from Monroe. Now Spooks, half boost, trying to find that pinch, trying to find that cross. The capitalization not coming through just yet from Miss Kev, but Cray off the backside. Luque able to find that clear, pushing it over, pass, midfield almost. Possession now back in favor of Monroe, but Death Puppy able to find that clear. Back across, able to stay alive. They don't have that cushion. It is only a 1-point game, 2 to go. Squeaky Hat trying to find the angle, but it's Kev. The defensive menace is there in position to find that save.
This guy's nutty right now. But also, you can see where Monroe, they're respecting Sun Valley a lot more. They've been corralled in their own net in anticipation of a lot of these shots. Their ability, though, to kind of break out of this, like, okay, we're in defense, or defense. Okay, there goes the ball. Let's chase it. That's been fast, and it's so speedy that in the past, it's caught Sun Valley off guard. It's Spooks' centered ball, but Cray had already committed and is not able to follow up. That's where your third man, Kev, can start to come in and get some of that work done. Death Puppy. And it's going to go right back over to Spooks. But this time, do Monroe have the players? They have the setup for it. 2 players from Sun Valley are going to manage to commit, leaving just Squeaky Hat, and that's all Sun Valley need. Lead held on to, and only 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, a minute remaining here in game number 3, 1-0 in favor of Sun Valley. Squeaky Hat able to find this clear. The pass up to Luque, possibly just barely missing. It's Kev now finding the clear. Monroe have to find something fast to possibly try to force this overtime for Monroe to try to seal the series at a 3-0. But Sun Valley looking strong on this offensive side. The clears looking strong as well. 30 seconds remain here in game number 3 as we do have a little bit of a cutout here.
Of course!
Does
of
go
course.
in as soon as we lose connection.
Oh, tragedy!
Well, we get replays though. It's Cray from midfield. Able to find that touch, able to find that corner, tying it up at 1 apiece with 33 seconds to go.
The pass from Kev, though? Did you see where that came from? The position where Cray had to meet it? I mean, that's a play that a lot of collegiate teams aren't even anticipating. Monroe putting themselves straight back into this series, tying it up, 25 seconds remaining. We're going to have our very first overtime of the day. Death Puppy has to get there, and he's going to do so. It's Sun Valley. They either have to get a point now, or we're going to end up in our first overtime. Playing in front of the net. It's Luque, it's tapped. McCray pushes it down over to Spooks. Now it's trailing slowly towards the center. Squeaky Hat, one final shot for Sun Valley to make their mark, and it's not going to be today. It'll be finished here in the sudden death of overtime.
1-1 overtime. The time now kicks up, but the kickoff looking on target, but just barely to the right. Cray unable to capitalize on that one. Now the clear coming through. Sun Valley has numbers here. The triple commit coming through, but nothing coming of it just yet. Death Puppy, we can already see back on that defensive rotation. Cray, the pass over to Spooks. Luque just barely missing the ball, but Death Puppy able to win that 50-50, maintain possession in favor of Sun Valley. Now in the air, the pass over to Luque, just barely not connecting. Cray able to push that one over to that corner. Now getting aggressive himself, but Death Puppy able to interrupt the pathing just barely to keep Sun Valley alive.
Sun Valley are staying up, but Monroe, typically in overtime, we'll see teams start to play a little bit more conservative, just knowing that the implications a single point will have. Sudden death, next goal wins the game. And if it's Monroe, they win the entire series right now. Sun Valley have a lot more to fight for. This would only be the first step in the comeback that they would have to make, but it's not going to even happen. A Spooks a ground roller straight under Death Puppy to give Monroe a 3-0 win.
Yeah, Death Puppy just trying to meet it in the air, but just goes a little bit too high. Spooks recognizing the position that Death Puppy is putting themselves in, opts to go to the ground, able to find that pinch off of it as well. 2-1, Monroe complete the sweep, but Sun Valley did not go down without a fight.
Wow.
An overtime victory for Monroe, and advancing now to 2-1 on the season. Now Sun Valley and Monroe both 2-1 on the season, tied up the rivals, looking good.
Once again, closest 3 I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
The fact that this did not go more games, shocking. I mean, Monroe, they're a great team, but Sun Valley kept this so dang close. I mean, honestly, it's just had a slight edge in terms of these superstar level plays that would just appear out of nowhere. That is what got Monroe these leads, and it didn't surmount to much. The most goals that we had on one side was 2 throughout the entire series, which is ridiculous considering to the scale of which we saw in our previous matches last week and also this week, if we're considering the 7-0 we saw earlier in the day too. Like, these are teams that are well up there. I said at the beginning of the day that, okay, ASCC against Monroe, that's got to be some of the peak that we have. I mean, that was incredible to watch. What Sun Valley just showed us today is right up there alongside it.
Yeah, a very, very close series. Like you said, it did not feel like a 3-0. It was a very, very close 3-0, especially with that overtime in game number 3. But both of these squads came out swinging. They looked very good, but the defense on the side of Monroe just took a completely step up. It's Kev playing unbelievable defense, finding these clears, setting up Cray and Spooks for these passing lanes and for these angles, as well as just fast movement altogether from the squad. They knew where everyone needed to be. It's Kev opting not to go for some of these triple commits on the side of Monroe, knowing that, hey, if this clear goes on target, no one's going to be back there to save that goal. So I love the patience coming through from Monroe. I love the team play, and Sun Valley as well. The patience, the team play was starting to heat up towards the later half of that series, but just barely unable to get that going earlier.
Yeah. This is rivalry too, right? Between 2 schools. They're all seniors. I'm guessing they've played each other before to have established this on previous years, and now likely the last time that they're going to have faced each other. And I mean, how does that got to feel? I want more of this. I'm so sad that this is over. I mean, this was an incredible series to have watched here today, and Monroe will get the final say in that rivalry that they've had against Sun Valley. And if we get to go back, a bit of an overview of our day at hand. Unfortunately, that was our last match. So we're gonna end up on a very high note for our day. Weddington won their series 3-1 over Central Cabarrus, and of course Monroe taking the record up to a 2-1. Weddington, the only team here that's remained undefeated. Yeah,
today 3-0 for Weddington here on the record, not the scoreline. 3-1 win for Weddington on the scoreline, winning that 2v3 situation that they found themselves in with one of their players unable to attend the match today. But props to the 2 players, right? Able to find an unbelievable turn of events, right? Big Hud and Rogue able to find many, many goals in this series, right? Playing very, very well together. And then on the side of Monroe as well, the defense stepping up.
Yep.
And Central Cabarrus, Sun Valley not looking bad either, looking very, very positive. Toy Sonic on the side of Central Cabarrus looking very strong, as well as Luque on the side of Sun Valley. Very excited to see where these squads go. 4 very good teams
yeah.
looking to advance and move forward here in this regular season.
This is, I believe, the halfway point, at least in our regular season. We've completed 2 out of the 4 weeks. Rocket League, I believe, plays 2 games per week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So they're still going to have a little bit more to go. And we have a lot more to go here in the VESL high school circuit, but that is all for our week, of course. It is Friday. The weekend is just around the corner, and I know you guys are going to take your time, relax, maybe like read a cozy book and just chill, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to come back here on Wednesday for Valorant, and we're going to see you. And you're going to be ready for the fire. We've loved casting our high school Valorant teams, and of course, Smash Rocket League as well to make their return halfway through the season. Oh, but so much more action to come. Thank you for all for joining and supporting the high school team, and we're going to go ahead and see you next Wednesday.